Hello, welcome to my channel Classless. In this video we will throwing more light on HTML form input type. Even though we will not be looking at all the input types, we pay much attention to the input type text, email, the radio button, the file type, the password type, the checkbox, the submit, and then the reset type. It's always advisable in HTML forms to start the form with the HTML form tag, so that everything that you want to place on the form will be between the HTML form tag. So you have to open the form tag over here, and then this is a descriptive text on the form. Fill the form below, and we are having it in the H3 tag. So the first name will be the first field on the form, and then we want this first name to be below the fill the form label, this heading. So you have to break the line. You need to break the line. Sorry, it's BR. Break the line. So you need to break the line over here. So this is first name, and then we are having it in the label tag. So it's always advisable in HTML form, whenever you are dealing with label or a descriptive text, you put it in a label tag. So we move on to the space provided for the user to provide the first name, and in this case we are using the input type text. The input type text works in a way that it takes both alphanumeric and special characters. So you provide a name for it. You can choose any name you want to give to that field. So in this case I'm using F name because it's taking first name, so a name related to whatever it's doing. So the placeholder over here will be some kind of text that will be displayed at the space provided. So first name, and then we move on to the next field, which is surname. It's also going by the input type text, and then you give it a name, the placeholder, and then you break the line because you want the next field to be on a different line. But in this case I'm having an email, but it's not in the label tag. It will work just like it's in the label tag whenever you open it in a browser. But whenever you are doing styling and you are making reference to all the text in the label tags, it will not have effect on this because it's not in the label tag. So with this, it's always advisable you have all the descriptive text on the form in the label tag. So let's move on. So we are using the input type email, and then you give it a name. In this case I'm giving it my email. You can choose any name you want to give to it, and then a placeholder, any text to describe or to display in the space provided. And then I'll move on to the next field, which is gender. In this gender, because the gender works in a way that you cannot belong to male at the same time belong to female, we use the input type radio. So the radio button is in a way that you can only choose one of the options provided, and this is how the syntax goes. You provide the option, and then the input tag continues. So you have the input, the type, the radio. So the type over here is radio. You give it a name, and then you come to the next line, you provide the next option. It's not always the same way that you have to provide the option before you begin the input tag. You can still begin with the input tag, you close it, and you come here and then you provide the option over here after closing the input tag. So let's move on. We move on to the next field, which is upload a file. And in uploading a file, we'll be making requests or make it possible for the user to browse and then upload any file from wherever the file is. So we're using the input type file, and then we give it a name, upload. You can choose any name you want to give to it. Then we move on to the next field, which is password. And in this password, because password is something confidential, we use the input type password. We want the characters to be masked. We have them hidden, or in a way that the characters will not show. We only have some dots over there whenever you are providing the password. So even if somebody is beside you having a look at whatever you are providing, the person will not have a look at the characters unless you show them. So this is confidential. We are using the input type password so that we can mask the characters. You give it a name, any name you want to give to it. You move on to the next field, which is subject. In this subject, it can happen, or it's possible you can do more than one subject. So in this case, we will be using the input type checkbox. By so doing, you can choose more than two of the subject options provided. So you can choose econs, you can choose elective maths, geography, or any of the subjects provided. The syntax works just like the radio button. So over here, you provide the options. The input tag begins, input type checkbox, and then you provide a name for it, and then you continue to the next line, and then you provide all the options. So from the icons you come down to provide the next option, which is elective maths, and then providing all the options, then you break the line. We move on to the next input type, which is submit, and the input type submit is working as a button over here. We have a name for it, a name which you can make reference to in the PHP, so submit. And the value over here is the text we want to have on the button. So whenever you save this and you open it in the browser, we have save now on the button. And then we move on to the next input type, reset. So with the next input type, reset works in a way that whenever you are doing the entry, you want to clear the data or delete the data, you use the button reset to do it. So with the value, we have clear data. So this is what the text will have on the button whenever you open it in the browser. So after everything, you have to come down here and then you close the form tag. So after closing the form tag, you save this and then you go open it in the browser, and this is what you will get. This is what you will get in the browser. So you have something like this in the browser. So you fill the space. You come here, provide your address, you choose the gender, you choose male, you come back, you choose female. To deselect the male because it's a radio button. You can come here, you can browse and then upload any file you want to upload over here. Then you provide a password because it's using the input type password. Whenever you are doing the entry, you to mask it unless you show it. This is checkbox, so you can choose any number of the options you want. So you can come here and then save it because it's a submit button and this is a clear button. So whenever you click on it, everything will clear. So you can clear everything. So this is what you have for today, and then in our next video we'll be using the CSS to start this, to do the layout of it, and then we are expecting to get something similar to this after the layout. After using the CSS, in our next video we'll be doing the CSS to the form we just did, and then we should be having something like this. Thank you for listening.